Have you ever stumbled across a story so quiet, so strange, that it feels like it wasn't meant to be found? Well, tonight you did. Hey, I'm the storyteller, and I'm inviting you on a journey into the forgotten corners of the world, where echoes of lost dreams still flicker like lanterns, and the night whispers secrets only the stillest hearts can hear. This story isn't rushed. It doesn't shout. It was made to move slowly, softly, like moonlight slipping across your pillow. It's layered with calm, woven with mystery, and soaked in sleep. Every word is chosen to help your body relax, your mind unwind, and your soul gently drift into the deepest, most peaceful sleep you've had in a long, long time. So before we begin, take a moment. Tap that like button. It helps other night owls and dreamers find their way to this hidden corner of the world. Hit subscribe so you never miss one of these quiet escapes. And tell me, where are you watching from? And what time is it right now in your world? Drop it in the comments. I love hearing from you. Now settle in. Let your eyes get heavy. Let the day fall away like an old coat at the door. You're safe here. You're home. And the story is ready to begin. Title: The Lantern Keeper of Hollowmere Lake. Sleep story with suspense, mystery, and calm narration. Have you ever heard a place call your name, not out loud, but in a feeling? A pull in your chest? A quiet curiosity that won't let go? Tonight, I want to take you there, to a lake that isn't on any map, and a story that was never meant to be told aloud. Long ago, nestled between velvet hills and mist-draped trees, there lay a body of water so still, so pale and silver, that the elders whispered it could mirror the moon's most secret thoughts. Hollowmere Lake, they called it. Not many people believed in it. Fewer still had seen it, but the ones who had never quite came back the same. It wasn't marked on any maps, not even the old, hand-drawn ones kept in the village archives. It was the kind of place that found you, not the other way around. They said that if you wandered west, past the crooked sycamores of Lark's Hollow, trees twisted as if they'd once tried to flee the ground, and followed the overgrown trail that had been swallowed by time itself, you'd eventually reach the lake. But you wouldn't hear it. You wouldn't smell it. It would appear like a dream, soft, wide, and blanketed in a fog so thick it kissed your skin like breath, leaving you chilled and strangely comforted at the same time. There were no birds near Hollowmere, no rustling leaves. Even the wind seemed to hush its voice as it passed through. Only the soft lap of water on mossy stones and the glow of lanterns. Yes, lanterns. Strange, old-fashioned ones. Flickering, golden, and swaying gently in the mist as if someone had just walked by. But they said no one lived near Hollowmere Lake. The lanterns told a different story. Every night, just after twilight, they would begin to appear, dotting the shoreline, trailing across the rickety dock that jutted out into the black water, and hovering by the trees like fireflies too large to be real. And if you were very quiet, if you stood completely still, you might hear the faint creak of wood, the soft clink of glass, and the unmistakable sound of footsteps, not hurried, but patient, deliberate, as though someone was tending to each lantern one by one, lighting them carefully, lovingly. Some claimed they had seen the figure, tall, wrapped in a long, tattered coat, moving like a shadow just on the edge of vision. Others swore he wore a mask of porcelain, and that beneath it, he had no eyes. But no one could say for sure, because if you looked too long, he would disappear. They called him the Lantern Keeper. No one knew how long he had been there. No one knew why. But stories, oh, the stories. They whispered that each lantern held a soul, a dream lost too soon, a memory too fragile to survive in the waking world. And the keeper watched over them. They said he lit the lanterns to guide the lost back to where they belonged. Not just wanderers in the woods, but wanderers in life. People burdened with sorrow. People running from things they couldn't name. People like you and me, searching for quiet, for peace, for a place that feels like home. And the strangest part? Everyone who found Hollowmere had been dreaming about it first. Not the lake itself, no, but of lanterns. Dozens of them. Hundreds. Suspended in the dark like stars fallen too low. And a voice, so distant it felt like it came from inside your own chest, whispering, "Follow the light. Come home." So tonight, I want you to follow that feeling. Let the world fall away behind you. Let your mind wander down that forgotten trail. The trees will part. The mist will rise. And somewhere beyond the veil of what we know, The keeper is already waiting. A lantern has already been lit, and it's for you. Every night, without fail, at exactly midnight, something strange would begin to stir at the edge of Hollowmere Lake. First came the stillness, the kind that doesn't feel like peace, but pressure, like the whole world is holding its breath. No crickets, no wind. Even the trees stood frozen, their twisted limbs unmoving under the heavy weight of silence. It was as if time itself paused, waiting. Then the lights, soft, golden glimmers, faint at first, like fireflies too timid to shine, would begin to appear across the shoreline. They hovered just above the surface of the water, never touching it, never making a sound. Dozens at first, then hundreds, slowly glowing to life, one by one, dotting the lake's edge like stars scattered across a dark canvas. They didn't flicker like flame. They glowed with purpose, with rhythm, with meaning. Some would sway gently, as if rocked by an invisible breeze. Others would glide a few inches above the water, drifting with the kind of grace that felt too intentional to be random. And a few would pulse, slowly, deliberately, like a heartbeat. It was beautiful, it was hypnotic, and it was undeniably unnatural. Anyone who happened to be watching, whether by accident or on purpose, always described the same feeling. A coldness, not on their skin, but deeper in their bones. A knowing that someone was out there. Because as mesmerizing as the lights were, they weren't rising on their own. They were being placed. Not thrown, not dropped. Placed. Carefully, lovingly, as if each one mattered. Some claimed they'd seen the silhouette. A tall figure, cloaked in black, moving along the shoreline in perfect silence. He didn't stumble. He didn't stop to rest. He glided through the mist like it welcomed him, like it parted for him. And in his hand, they said, was a long, curved lantern hook, old, iron-wrought, and worn with time. He used it to lower each glowing orb onto the air above the lake. And when he let go, they hovered, as if weightless, as if alive. Those who stayed to watch said he never looked up, never noticed them watching, or perhaps pretended not to. But the longer you stayed, the more certain you became of something impossible to prove. He knew you were there. Some nights, if you blinked too long or breathed too loud, the lights would pause midair. The swaying would stop. The pulsing would still. And every lantern, dozens, maybe hundreds, would face you. Not turn, not twist. Just face you. As if the whole lake had stopped to listen to your thoughts. As if you weren't just witnessing something forbidden, but were becoming a part of it. People rarely stayed after that. They would stumble back through the woods, too afraid to run, hearts pounding against ribs like fists on a door. And they'd swear never to speak of it again. But they always came back, drawn by something they couldn't name. A dream, a whisper, a glow behind their eyelids when they closed their eyes at night. Because deep down they wanted to know, who was the lantern keeper? What were the lights for? And why did it feel like one of them was meant for you? Now one night, a night you may only remember in fragments, like a dream that dissolves when touched. You found yourself at the edge of Hollowmere Lake. You didn't plan to go there. You didn't even know you'd left your bed. But somehow, your feet had brought you here, pulled by something silent and invisible. A hum, low and distant, vibrating just beneath your skin like a secret only your body remembered. Maybe it was sorrow. Maybe it was fate. Maybe it was something much older than either. The air was impossibly still, and yet the forest around you seemed alive. Not with movement, but with memory. The trees leaned in as you passed, their bark etched with patterns that almost looked like faces. Watching, waiting, remembering. Each branch brushed your shoulder like an old friend, sighing gently as if they'd waited centuries to feel your presence again. The fog gathered low, curling around your ankles like a breath made visible. Cool and soft and damp, it clung to your skin without weight, like the fingers of a sleeping child. You stepped slowly, your shoes leaving no mark on the moss-covered ground. Even the earth itself seemed to recognize you. Then a flicker, just ahead, where the shore met the mist, a golden light sparked to life. Then another, and another. Not fast, not sudden. Each one came like a heartbeat, slow, steady, deliberate, calling you. You didn't question it. You didn't even feel surprised. You followed, not because you were curious, but because some part of you, buried deep inside, beneath memory and fear and logic, knew them. You had seen these lights before. Not in this world, maybe, but somewhere. In a dream. In a lullaby. In a goodbye. As you stepped closer, the mist parted just enough for you to see the water, still and dark as black glass, stretching out like an ancient mirror. And then you saw her. She stood on the lake. Not in it. Not near it. On it. Barefoot. Her long dress, the color of charcoal and old moonlight, rippled gently around her legs, swaying with a wind that did not blow. Her hair was dark and loose, cascading over her shoulders like shadows poured from the night sky. And in her hands, cradled like something fragile, was a lantern. It glowed faintly, not bright, but steady, golden, warm, alive. She did not startle when you arrived. She didn't flinch. She simply turned, slowly, gracefully, but not fully. Only enough for you to see her profile, the soft curve of her cheek, the shimmer of her eyelashes, and a smile. Subtle, knowing, gentle. The kind of smile someone gives you when they've been expecting you for a very, very long time. And then she spoke. "Been a long time," she whispered. Her voice wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. It wrapped around you like smoke, like velvet, like lullabies sung to a child in the womb. Soft, echoing, familiar. It echoed in places that hadn't been touched in years. You opened your mouth to speak, but no sound came. Your throat tightened, your lungs forgot their rhythm. You stood frozen, not in fear, but in recognition. Because somehow, impossibly, you knew her too. You couldn't place her face, couldn't remember her name. But something about the shape of her silence, the tilt of her head, the way the lantern in her hands flickered just a second before yours did. You had been here before. Not in this life. Not in the last. But once. Long, long ago. The wind began to move then. Just a whisper. Just enough to stir the trees and shiver the fog. The lanterns across the lake pulsed in unison. One beat. Then another. A rhythm, soft but steady. A heartbeat. Not just from the lake, but from the night itself. "Come closer," she said. Not a command. Not a request. An invitation. Your body moved before your mind could object. Step by step, you walked toward the surface of the lake. And the lake held you. The moment your foot touched it, the water shimmered. Not wet, not cold. Solid, but soft. Like stepping onto the back of something ancient and gentle. Something that had always meant to carry you. The lights parted before you, making a golden path across the water, leading not just to her, but through her. Because behind her, in the thickest part of the mist, there was something else. A shape. A doorway, maybe. A shadowed arch woven from twisted branches and old roots. A gate. And beyond that, something waited. Something old. Something watching. You didn't answer. You didn't need to. Because some things, the oldest things, aren't spoken with words. They're remembered with the bones. Felt in the spaces between heartbeats. Known without knowing how. She extended her hand, and in it was the lantern. You took it. It was light. Not like glass. Not like metal. No weight. No resistance. It floated between your palms as though made of breath and memory. Yet it was warm. Not just warm, alive. The kind of warmth that speaks not of fire, but of touch. The warmth of someone brushing your cheek at dusk. The warmth of a goodbye that meant everything. The warmth of something that had been waiting a long, long time. And the moment your fingers curled around its handle, something shifted. Not in the air. Not in the lake. In you. It was small at first, like a thread tugging gently at your thoughts. A memory. Or the shape of one. A flicker of laughter beneath a willow tree. The scent of wet earth and violet blossoms. A promise whispered so quietly it had nearly been lost to time. You didn't resist. You stepped onto the water beside her, not sinking, not stumbling. The lake held you, as if it knew you, as if it remembered. The lanterns parted to make space for yours. The others hovered gently around you, gliding in silent circles, pulsing slowly like sleeping fireflies. Each one had its own rhythm, its own glow. But when yours was placed among them, they stilled, just for a second, like they recognized you, like they'd been waiting, too. You leaned forward and set your lantern on the surface of the water. And it didn't fall. It floated, drifting gently to join the others in their quiet dance. And in that moment, that sacred, hushed moment, something cracked open inside you. Memories stirred, not sharply, not all at once, but softly, like feathers brushing through fog. You saw the lake again, but not as it was now. It was brighter, alive with voices and song. The banks were covered in wildflowers, silver, blue, and violet, and the trees wore lanterns like fruit. And you were there. You weren't alone. There was someone with you, a hand in yours, eyes like the storm before rain, lips trembling with a promise that could never be kept. You remembered leaning close, whispering, "I'll find you, no matter how long it takes." And then, darkness, a tear, a fall, a separation not of bodies, but of souls, a goodbye that echoed through centuries. And now, here you were, back, beside her. The woman on the lake turned to face you fully this time. And in her eyes, those moonlit eyes, you saw what the fog had tried to hide. She remembered, too. "I waited," she said. 3 words. Simple, devastating. And in the hush that followed, the waters shimmered again. Not beneath you, but far across the lake. There, beyond the reach of the lanterns, something moved. Slow, massive, silent. A shape beneath the surface. A current of darkness. Not evil, but ancient. Like the weight of time made flesh. The woman's smile faded. Her voice dropped to a whisper, barely carried by the night. "You lit your lantern. That means the way is opening again. But not just for us." She looked past you, toward the shadow on the horizon. "They'll be coming soon." She touched your shoulder gently, fingertips like moonlight. "Cool, comforting, eternal. Rest now," she said, her voice wrapped in breath and hush. "Remember later." And the lake cradled you. Not like water cradles a stone, but like arms, like something sentient, gentle, loving, like a lullaby hummed by the earth itself. You didn't fall asleep. You sank, slowly, delicately, into a place between waking and dreaming, where thoughts felt like ripples and time lost its edges. The fog thickened around you, coiling with purpose, wrapping your limbs, your breath, your mind, in layers of softness. But it never took your vision. Not fully, because the lights were still there. Dozens, hundreds, more than you remembered, all drifting together in a great, sweeping spiral, like stars torn from constellations and gathered home again. They pulsed, soft, dim, rhythmic, a heartbeat, but not yours, not hers. The lake's. It was breathing beneath you, slow and deep, like an ancient sleeper beginning to stir. Each inhale curled fog higher into the trees. Each exhale carried whispers, echoing through the branches above. Whispers you didn't quite understand. Not yet, but they brushed against your thoughts like familiar fingers, almost like they were trying to remind you of something. Far across the water, where the fog thickened into shadow, a flicker caught your eye, a new light, but this one didn't float. It rose, a narrow flame, tall and trembling, like it was fighting its own existence. It twisted, pulsed, then blinked out. A pause. Then another appeared, closer, and another, each one flaring briefly, then vanishing, not extinguished, claimed. Something was drawing them in, pulling them downward. One by one, the lanterns began to disappear. Not all, just a few, scattered, unpredictable, a slow unraveling. The woman, she hadn't moved. She knelt beside you, face turned away, listening. To what? You strained your ears. Beneath the wind, beneath the breath of the lake, you heard something else. Footsteps, but not on land, not on water. Under it, crunching, grinding, heavy, like stone shifting against stone, or something dragging itself from a place it had been buried too long. You opened your mouth to speak, but the woman gently pressed a finger to your lips. "Not yet," she said. Her eyes were full of sorrow, and something else. Fear. "The lights remember," she whispered. "They'll guide us back, but only if we stay still." You blinked slowly. The fog was thicker now, chilling, despite the lantern's glow. The water beneath you seemed darker, thicker. Somewhere in the distance, a low sound began to rise. Like a horn, but not man-made. More like the howl of something that had never been human. Something that had learned mourning, before it had learned hunger. The lanterns pulsed faster now, not in panic, but in rhythm. A message, a warning. One final light flared up nearby. Your lantern. It flickered just once, then steadied. Still warm, still yours. The woman turned her face to you fully now. "I can hold it back," she said, "but not forever." "What is it?" you asked, though the words felt thick and far away. She looked out across the lake, into the dark that was no longer empty. "It's what wakes when you remember too much." And suddenly, you did remember, but not in pieces, not in whispers. All at once, you gasped. The lake beneath you shuddered. And deep, deep below, something opened its eyes. In the distance, an owl called once. Low, echoing, like a warning wrapped in sorrow. The sound rolled across the lake like mist in motion, settling into the hollows of your bones. The trees around Hollowmere swayed gently, their bare branches sighing in ancient rhythm, not from wind, but from memory. You felt them watching, not with eyes, but with something older, as if the forest itself remembered you, as if the roots whispered your name through the earth below. Your limbs grew heavier, your breath slower, each inhale brushing the edges of dreams, each exhale softening the world until it began to blur, like a painting weeping in the rain. The fog thickened, curling up your spine, pressing gently against your shoulders like a weighted blanket from another lifetime, one meant to soothe and warn, because something was still out there, far beyond the lights, just past the reach of warmth, waiting. The surface of the lake trembled once, a subtle pulse like a sleeping heart startled in a nightmare. You blinked slowly. The lanterns around you had begun to form a circle, not drifting anymore, but standing still, holding place, protecting. The woman stood again at the center, but she was no longer just a woman. Her eyes had deepened, her form blurred slightly at the edges, as if made of moonlight caught in water. She shimmered, and yet, she seemed heavier than ever, like time itself leaned on her shoulders. She looked at you with something between grief and peace. You were the last, she said quietly, and now the circle is whole. A sound rose from the water, low, resonant, like a chime underwater. Then another, then dozens. The lanterns were singing. It wasn't music, it was memory. Each note a moment, each flicker a name, each glow a soul, awake. And in that instant, you remembered everything. The promise, the fall, the night you left, the vow to return, and her, waiting, through lifetimes, through fog, through silence. You weren't a visitor to Hollowmere. You were its keeper, its lost guardian, the one who had once walked into the deep and never come back. Until now, a soft ripple passed beneath your body. It wasn't water anymore. It was memory, thick, slow, gentle, pulling you not under, but within. You felt yourself floating, not on the lake, but on the cusp of something vast and endless. A place where time had no voice, and dreams had no shadows. The woman stepped closer. She leaned down, and just before everything faded, just before the light closed behind your eyes, you felt her breath against your ear. So soft, so final, so sacred. You're safe now, she whispered. You're remembered. A pause, a sigh, and you're not alone. The owl cried again, fainter, distant, as if satisfied. The trees stilled, and Hollowmere Lake fell silent once more, its surface unbroken, its secrets safe, its lights waiting for the next lost soul to find their way home. Thank you for listening. If you're still awake, tell me, what kind of place would you love to dream about next? A fog-drenched forest whispering secrets? A haunted mansion filled with forgotten rooms? Or maybe a lonely island where time stands still? Drop your dream destination in the comments below. And if this story helped you unwind, even just a little, let me know by tapping that like button. It helps more dreamers find their way here, to the quiet corners of the night. If you enjoyed this peaceful escape, make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss the next journey. Every story is crafted to guide you gently into sleep, with just enough mystery to linger in your dreams. I'd truly love to know, did the Lantern Keeper speak to you? Did you drift off before the end? Or are you still with me, floating somewhere over Hollowmere Lake? Leave a comment. I read every single one. And if you want to be the very first to hear the next story, tap the notification bell. That way, when the night feels heavy, and you need a soft voice to carry you into dreams, I'll be right here, waiting.